Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 30-Minute Gospel. My name is Chris, and I'll be your host as we open and study the Bible together. I'll be reading from the King James Version, but you can feel free to read whichever translation that best suits you. I would just recommend that you have a version that does not delete verses from God's holy word. Each video will be a biblical teaching of 30 minutes or less. My material is completely 100% free, so you can share these videos with family members, coworkers, friends, or anyone you know who either needs to hear the Word of God or wants to study it in a casual setting. The gospel is free to all, so I will not accept any donations, gifts, or beg viewers for money. Please give to your local church or Christian organization of your choosing. You can reach out to me with questions or comments at 30minutegospel@gmail.com, but please keep your message respectful and cordial. Well, welcome back, everybody. And this will be our final video. I know a lot of y'all are saying, "Oh, yeah, finally. I didn't think this was ever going to happen." But this will be our eighth and final video dealing with the Bible and your health. And we've gone over a ton of material. I would recommend that you do that. Go over the previous material. And we're going to just discuss briefly today about exercise. And then we are going to talk about practical things that we talked about, kind of summarize everything and what's really going on. Okay, just a reminder that this Bible teaching has nothing to do with your salvation. Okay, this is like talking about whether we should tithe or not. I'm not also bad mouthing doctors or telling you to stop taking your drugs. Okay, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just giving you principles with this. Okay. And so in our previous one, we were talking about the pharmaceutical drugs. You can go back and watch that. But right now, I'm going to talk about exercise. What the Bible says about exercise. Exercise, as we all know, is very, very important. It's not everything. I will tell you this about exercise. They will tell you this in weightlifting. I remember hearing this for many, many years. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger might have said it. He said, if you want to get the body that you want, it's like 20% of it is in the gym, like 15 to 20% of that's in the gym. The other 80% is what you do at home. Okay, eating plays a role in it. You can go to the gym and burn off 1,000 calories. Okay, if you go back out and eat two pizzas afterwards, you just undid everything that you just did in the gym. So exercise is an important step. It is important to exercise. We need to do that. Why? Exercising stretches muscles, and by stretching the muscle, it allows for the nutrients to get into the muscle. That's why it's very, very important. It also burns calories, and it's just very good for you. It's good for your heart. It's good for the rest of your body to move. That's what we're designed to do. We're not designed to just sit places. You're designed to move. And that's been a big issue with a lot of our jobs today is we have a lot of sedentary jobs versus the old days where men used to work and women would work outside. Men were chopping wood. They were doing gardening and farming and all of that. They were doing a lot of physical labor, but now we have a lot of sedentary jobs. So people aren't exercising, and that's causing a big, big issue. But exercising is very important. God established exercise in Genesis chapter 3. People don't even realize that. But if you go all the way back with me, as I've always said, this is simple Bible study. I've got my Bible and my notes, so y'all just follow around. Nothing fancy. Okay? If you go to Genesis chapter 3, okay? Genesis chapter 3, verses 17 through 19. This is the curse that's on man. It says, and um, oh wait, I'm in Exodus 3. Sorry about that. Let me get all the way to Genesis 3. Sorry, I was in the wrong book. Chapter 3:17, he said, And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I shall command thee, which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. We've already talked about that. It says, verse 19, it says, In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. So what he's saying is, you're going to have to wipe the sweat off your brow. Well, you only do that with hard physical labor and exercise. Okay? Why? Sweating is good for you. Sweating gets the toxins out of you. So God was establishing, he's telling you sweating is good. You need to do this. It's hard work, but getting that exercise and moving the body is very important. It's not just walking, or running. You need to be doing some sort of resistance training too. Using the muscles. If you don't use those muscles, they atrophy. I have been weightlifting since I was in high school. I started it in high school. I've kind of fallen off and gotten back on, fallen off and gotten back on. But basically, for the last like 5 or 6 years, I've been consistently doing it again. And you need to do that. It's very, very healthy for you to do that, to build muscles so the muscles don't atrophy and then waste away. Okay, you're using them, you're weightlifting. It gets you bigger, it gets you healthier. The ancients knew this. That's why whenever you see like the men, whenever they would sculpt men or paint them, or basically sculptures, they always had them with the six-pack abs and the muscles. They knew the importance of that. They knew that was the specimen of a healthy individual. That's why they did that. They didn't do statues of fat and overweight people. Usually it was that way, and usually the statues of women, they were thin and these sorts of things. So exercise is very, very important with that, and Paul talks about it in 1 Timothy 4. Some of y'all have heard this verse before. Go all the way, almost all the way across the Bible to 1 Timothy chapter 4. In verse 8 it says, "For bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of life that now is and that which is to come." Basically, what he's saying is that, bodily exercise, it is profitable, but compared to spiritual things, it's not. To godliness, it's not. But bodily exercise is profitable. Okay? So it is. That's why he uses that thing, run the race, because exercise is extremely important. Okay? Exercise is extremely important. You need to be exercising. We all know the exercises because they taught it to us they didn't teach us the health stuff as much, but they taught us exercise in school. Exercise was taught in school. Okay? So we all know about exercising. Okay, about what we should do: sit-ups, push-ups, pull-ups, running, and you can look it up now today. They've got so many exercise programs that you can look it up today. So exercise is very, very important. Okay, so that's all really I had on exercise. It's just important, but it is an important factor. But sometimes people get too hung up that it's all exercise. Like, I've just got to exercise. I can eat whatever I want as long as I exercise, and that's not true. They don't understand the eating part. That's why most of this series has been on eating and what we put inside our bodies, because that makes up 80 to 90% of our health. Exercise makes up about 10 or 15%. Okay, so just remember this. These final thoughts here. Romans chapter 12 verses 1. Some of y'all remember that. Romans chapter 1. Most of y'all know Romans chapter 12 verse 2, and I'll read that one after this. But 12 verse 1 says, "I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service." And verse 2 talks about, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that may prove that is good and acceptable and perfect will of God." But you see, it says, present your bodies. Okay? Why do we need to present our bodies as a holy sacrifice? Because we've been bought with a price. As it says, we've been bought with a price. And our bodies, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19 through 20, they are the temple of the Holy Spirit and bought by a price. See, if you go to 1 Corinthians, just hold on to chapter 12, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 19 to 20, it says, "What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For you are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's." Okay, you've been bought with a price. This holy temple is yours. It is God's. Your body is God's. It belongs to God, and He's given you stewardship over it. Okay. I hear a lot of Christians talk about that. They say, "I can't wait until I'm raptured up and I get my new body." Well, the question is, what if God gave you a body exactly the way you treated this body on earth? He gave you the responsibility to take care of this body, and you're not taking care of it. You're just basically looking at it like I'm going to crash this thing until it just is destroyed, and then God's going to come in and clean up my mess, essentially. What if he gives you a body the exact same way? Just think about that. Now, I know God probably wouldn't do that, but just think about that. What if he did that? Okay. Now, before we get to our final, so remember that you're the holy temple. You're bought by the price. Don't be. You could say, well, but these foods taste good. Well, are you going to be controlled by your flesh or by your spirit? Okay. Remember this before we conclude up. Before I get into some other health principles. Remember this: we're in the mess we're in right now because our ancestors, Adam and Eve, ate something they shouldn't have eaten because it looked good. It tasted good. We're in this situation right now because we didn't eat what God said to eat, and we didn't eat. God said, don't eat that, and we ate it. Okay? It's just a reminder about that. Okay. Now, having said that, as all of you know, we talked about this just to summarize. God has given us fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains as our food, and animals as our food. That is our food. Everything that God has made is good, as it says. God made the things on the outside of the grocery store. Not everything in the grocery store God made, man made it. Okay? Anything that's in the inside, like cookies, crackers, candy bars, these sort of sodas, man created that, not God. God created meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, and some dairy. That's what God has created. Okay? Man's created the other stuff. Man's stuff makes you sick. God's stuff makes you well. Makes you feel good. All right? And this is what we talk about. Your body's made, I mentioned this in previous videos, but we're going to kind of go over this over the next 15, 16 minutes left of this video. Your body's made up of 100 trillion cells. Okay? Your body gets rid of these cells and within 2 years, all of the 100 trillion cells are gone. They are all gone. That's why they used to say, and you have these new taste buds and you have these new bodies. Remember when they used to say that? Well, they said that because it's true. And they're replaced with new cells. The new cells are made up of what you eat and what is put in your body. That could be other chemicals too, but the cells are made up of what you've eaten and what's been put in your body. Okay? That's that old expression. You ever heard that? You are what you eat. That is true. If you're eating Pop-Tarts, you're going to have a Pop-Tart body. That's what you're going to be made of. Your body doesn't function on Pop-Tarts. Why do we know that? Because God says, I've given you fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains for your food. You shall eat the herb of the field. And you have meat. That is what your cells need in order to survive. They don't need Pop-Tarts. That's why you're sick. More than likely. Not all the way, but most likely that's the reason why you're sick. So what can you do about it? If you start eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains, guess what? Those Pop-Tart cells, if you say, like let's say for a year, you get rid of Pop-Tarts, all you're going to do is eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. Those Pop-Tart cells are going to die away, and they'll be replaced with new cells that have been made of the materials that they need, and those are new and healthier cells. And guess what happens? You start feeling better. You start feeling better. Why? Because now all of the organs are made up of cells that are functioning correctly. It's very simple to understand. Very easy. It's not complicated. Most diseases are caused by either a lack of deficiency or a toxicity. That's what we talked about. If you're dehydrated, for example, you are deficient in hydration, water, nutrients. If you're overhydrated, you are toxic in water. If you have hyponatremia, you're lacking salt. If you have hypernatremia, you have too much salt. You see how that works? They have these different names for these diseases, but that's what it is. Scurvy is a lack of vitamin C. Rickets is a lack of vitamin D. Beriberi is a lack of vitamin B1, I think, or one of the B vitamins. Pernicious anemia is a deficiency in B12. Anemia, iron anemia, is deficiency in iron. Okay. Lung cancer is a toxicity of usually inhalation and smoke. Diabetes is a toxicity of sugar. Okay. Your body's not in homeostasis. That's what's going on. All right. If you have a parasite infection, your body is toxic in that parasite. It doesn't need it. Does that make sense? If you have SIBO, you're toxic in bacteria. They're in the wrong place. You have too much of it. All right? Does that make sense? So that's how it works. These are just simple health principles. You need to be having, and the medical community has known this. You need to have a bowel movement every day. You need to have 1 to 2 bowel movements a day. This thing where they say you only need 3 bowel movements a day or a week, that's not true. That's not true. You need to have one every day. They've known this for a long while. Why? Because my father told me, and he still to this day does not drink chocolate milk. My father does not, because when he was a kid, he saw my grandmother putting milk of magnesia in his chocolate milk. Milk of magnesia helps, it's like a laxative. It helps you go poop. Okay? She put it in there. Why? She put it in there because the pediatrician the doctor told her to put it in there, because he said it's important for them to have a clean colon. They need to have a regular bowel movement. They need to keep themselves clean. This was back in the 50s and early 60s when this happened. The doctors are very well aware that your colon is where all the toxins go. Okay? A lot of toxins are expelled that way. It's the number one expulsion of toxin. That's what a bowel movement is. That's how your body gets rid of all this toxic material and all the waste that your body consumes. If you inhale like smoke or something, maybe somebody is smokers near you, you inhale that smoke, the body takes that smoke and puts it into the liver. The liver filters it, then puts it in the colon for dispersion. If your colon's not working well, your body will use your skin. That's where you get if you sweat pretty well. If you don't sweat well, it's going to come out in rashes. That's what eczema is. That's leftover toxins coming out of your system. Okay? That's what that is. You get dandruff, you get all sorts of other issues that goes on. Itchiness, that's coming out of there. You'll cough a lot. If you don't have good bowel movements, you're going to cough a lot because the body's trying to expel these things, or sneeze. They're trying to expel it out of your body. These are the elimination organs. For women, sometimes your body will use the vaginal tract for that. The healthier you are, ladies, by the way, the more that you eat healthier, if you're a woman and listening to this, the less problems you'll usually have with your period, unless something else is going on down there with the menstruation cycle. The less you'll have issues with that. Okay? The more toxic your body is, usually the worse those things are. There's a correlation between that. All right, just to let you know. Okay, but your body's going to try to cough it up. That's why you have to have regular bowel movements. You should have regular bowel movements. Well, what causes regular bowel movements? Eating fiber does. Drinking enough water. Making sure you have enough calcium and magnesium in your body to get that through. Okay, potassium. All that's very important. Where do you get calcium, magnesium, potassium? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains. Okay, that's where you get it from. And where do you get the fiber? From fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. A lot of the man's food that's in there doesn't have fiber unless man has added the fiber back in. Okay? So very, very simple. You need to make sure that you get all your vitamins and minerals every day. That's why a good multivitamin. I would say get a whole food multivitamin. Okay? Whole food multivitamin. to make sure that you get that. But you have to be careful with, of course, multivitamins. Just make sure you don't overdo it. Vitamin C is very important for liver detoxification, for removal of cortisol, for collagen production. That's what vitamin C is for. Vitamin A is for your eyes, for your immune system. All the B12 is for your nervous system. All the B vitamins for your nervous system, and muscle function. These sorts of things. Okay. Vitamin D is important for your immune system. It's important for calcium absorption. Um, it's important for hair growth. Okay. Vitamin K is very good for blood clotting. You need this stuff, calcium, magnesium, using for your heart, for your nervous system, for your digestion. You need all of these things in order to do that. You got to be able to digest your food. Okay. Now, I would say if you are implementing these things, and you still seem to be sick, I would go in not getting, you're getting a little bit better but not great. I would go see somebody like a dietitian or a naturopathic person who may be able, maybe there's something going on with your digestion, you're not able to digest it, which I have issues with. Okay, and I have to take butane hydrochloride, and I have to take papain and digestive enzymes and bile salts to help digest my food. Okay, but these organs are these things are very, very important for you to know. Okay, so the cell thing is very, very important for you to understand. Now, am I saying that all the cases are like this? No, of course not, but I would say probably 80 to 90% are. Okay, 80 to 90% are. You probably got about 10% of people, that have like a genetic heart defect, or, um, they have a genetic issue, something like this, like their gallbladder just stopped working or something like that. But I would say that's probably about 10% of people. Most people, they're perfectly fine until they get their 20s and 30s, because what's happened is, just like what I did, I abused my body with all the junk food and all the garbage food, and then my body started having horrid inflammation, horrid problems. I wasn't getting toxins out, and then I started becoming really sick with like things like IBS or leaky gut, sinus issues, um, heartburn, and all these other issues that were coming about because of that. Okay, so that's usually what the case is. So the question becomes, what's a practical thing that I can do? Okay, here's just a day. What I would say, what you would want to do in a day, for eating on a pretty regular basis. Okay, in the morning time, you can get up and have some fruit, or have a fruit smoothie. Sometimes people like to get up and have like a fruit smoothie, and they'll put their vitamins and supplements in there and then drink it for the day. Like maybe you could put your vitamins and anything that you need in there to kind of boost your day up. You could get collagen protein or something like that and put it in there. Or drink that or eat fruit. Okay. Then for lunch, you know, um, you have a salad. Lots of fresh vegetables on there. I would avoid salad dressings if you can. If you want to use salad dressings, I would recommend like apple cider vinegar is pretty good to have on there. One things that I do in order to do that is I put uh, like sunflower seeds and pepita seeds that are salted, and then they're mixed with raisins and cranberries. So it's like salt and sweet. So you're like eating it. You're like, this is tasty. I don't need a salad dressing. So like a big salad would be good. Lots of good fresh vegetables. Lunch or for a snack, if you need one, maybe get a handful of pistachio nuts or almond nuts or something like that. That's very, very good to have too, because they're big superfoods. Then at dinner time, I would recommend maybe having maybe your meat. Maybe have like say a grilled piece of chicken. A starch, maybe a side of brown rice or maybe a potato, some sort of potato, and then having vegetables, some cooked vegetables, maybe some broccoli, let's just say, or cooked peppers. And if you eat that like that, you should be good. Now you want to stay away from. I would recommend staying away from all oils unless it's extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, or those things. Any of that canola oil, all the ones you can look those ones up that are processed that aren't good for you. But if you eat that on a pretty regular basis, now you can change that up a little bit how you see fit, but if you eat that on a pretty regular basis, you will start feeling better. You will start to feel better. And you'll just start to do that, and then you'll realize that you want to keep this lifestyle because you don't want to go back to the way you were. You don't want to do that to yourself again. Because as it says in the Bible, it says the as a dog returns to his vomit, so the fool returns to his folly. So you won't want to do that again. Okay, does that make sense? So you don't want to fall into that trap again of doing that. That's one of the reasons why a lot of these diets don't work. Okay, why don't these diets like Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers, they don't seem to work as well? Why? Because man created them. All they've done is taken the brownie and taken the calories out of it. That's all they've done. You haven't learned that you don't need to eat that on a regular basis. So people eat that, they lose the weight, that's great, but then when they've lost the weight, then they go back to eating the real brownies and it all comes back. The only true way to do it is on the diet that God has told you, because you will learn to like the fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains, and then you really keep the weight off. You'll keep that weight off, you'll feel good, you'll have more energy, you'll sleep at night. Because let me tell you this right now, how I define health and how the medical community defines health are two separate things. Okay? If you're in really good health, you should be able to fall asleep within 10 or 15 minutes. You should not have to be on any medicine. You should be able to exercise and have plenty of energy all day long. That's what real health is. They'll tell you you're healthy, oh, if you have 3 bowel movements a week. No, 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 no. If you're having a bowel movement every day, you're healthy. That's health. There's like a baseline of health. Real true health is going above that baseline and doing more than what it is, and really having the energy and getting up and not worrying about being sick and just enjoying life. And I believe if you follow these principles, you can do that. Well, thank you everybody so much for tuning in again. Once again, I'd like to ask you if you would. I have a Facebook page. It's 30 Minute Gospel with Chris. You can log in there and like and follow it. I also recommend that you hit the subscribe button and hit the like button here. And share this video with anybody that you know that may need to hear this too. Okay, you need to hear this message. It's completely free, so go right ahead and share it. This is done. We'll be moving on from another subject after this, but I also have a email account. It's 30minutegospel@gmail.com. That 30 is a 30. It's available on the link in the description of this video and also on my YouTube. And these videos are uploaded to Rumble. Okay, so if you are going to email me, please, nothing vile or angry or anything like that. I'm just not going to read it. All right, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. And I'll leave you with this, just as Theodore Roosevelt once said: a thorough knowledge of the Bible is worth more than a college education. God bless you all.